Good evening and welcome to this December 9th, 2024 meeting of the Lake Bluff Village Board of Trustees. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Cole.
Here.
Trustee Fisher.
Here.
Trustee Hatch is not here. Trustee Rappin.
Here.
Trustee Ryder.
Here.
And Trustee Freed is not here. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Please stand and join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our first item tonight is a proclamation declaring December 2024 as National Drunk and Drugged Driving Prevention Month. Whereas every year, thousands of lives are needlessly lost on our nation's roadway because of alcohol and drug-impaired driving. And whereas alcohol, illicit drugs, and even over-the-counter prescription medication can impair the driver's judgment, decrease motor coordination, and slow the reaction time necessary to safely operate a motor vehicle. And whereas December 3rd, 2024, the Illinois Department of Transportation fatal crash data reported there were 998 fatal crashes, of which hundreds of these deaths involved a driver impaired by alcohol and or drugs. And whereas the December holiday season is one of the deadliest times of the year for impaired driving, and for thousands of families across the state and the nation, holidays are a time to remember loved ones lost. And whereas organizations across the states and the nation are engaged in the Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over enforcement effort and other campaigns that foster public awareness of the dangers of impaired driving and anti-impaired driving law enforcement efforts. And whereas the Village of Lake Bluff is proud to partner with the Illinois Department of Transportation's Division of Traffic Safety and other traffic safety groups in that effort to make our roads and streets safer. Now, therefore, I, Régis Charlot, Village President of the Village of Lake Bluff, Illinois, do hereby proclaim the month of December 2024 as Drunk and Drugged Driving Prevention Month in the Village of Lake Bluff, and call upon all citizens, government agencies, business leaders, hospitals and healthcare providers, schools and public and private institutions to promote awareness of the impaired driving problem, to support programs and policies to reduce the incidence of impaired driving, and to promote safer and healthier behaviors regarding the use of alcohol and other drugs this holiday season and through the year. Thank you. Next on our agenda are the consideration of minutes of the November 25th, 2025 regular village board meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Are there any changes, notes on these minutes?
Drew, the issue that you and I spoke about earlier today, I think appears in the minutes as well, under number 7. Last sentence of number 7. I think it was corrected elsewhere in the record, but.
Yeah, and what that is the, on item 7 on page 4 of the minutes, the last sentence reads, the total levy amount of 5.2 million and changes in compliance with the PTEL and Truth in Taxation Act, and that should say the village's portion of the levy is in compliance with PTEL, period.
Thanks.
Thank you, Suzanne.
And I believe that is what Benita said when we were talking.
That is correct.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Any more comments? Thank you.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes as amended just now.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? This motion carries. This is a
Voice vote.
it's a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the motion carries as well. Thank you very much. Next are our non-agenda items and visitor. The village president and board of trustees allocates 15 minutes during this item for those individuals who would like the opportunity to address the village board of trustees on any matter not listed on the agenda. Each person addressing the village board of trustees is asked to limit their comments to a maximum of 5 minutes. I do not see anybody raising their hands here. Do we have anybody online willing to do so?
There are a handful of people participating online. If you are interested and you're in our Zoom meeting and want to be heard at this time, please raise your hand. You'll be recognized. No one is?
All right, moving forward. Next item, item 6, is the village board sets the order of a meeting. The village president and board of trustees will entertain requests from anyone present on the order of business to be conducted during the village board meeting. I understand 8A might be first.
And then you could take 15.
And then 15. Are there any objections to that change? We're good? Okay, moving forward to 8A. Drew?
In your packet is a memorandum describing a request from the Lake Bluff Yacht Club. They're getting closer to starting rebuilding the compound down at the lakefront once the North Shore Water Reclamation District is done with their work. But they've submitted a number of applications related to rebuilding the compound to total $7,460 in village fees. They're asking as a local nonprofit for a waiver of those fees pursuant to our village regulations. They will have to be paying any out-of-pocket costs, third-party related to their sprinkler application, but other than that, they're asking for a waiver of those fees. And the amount is out of my authority and within your hands, so
Can I make a motion to approve?
you may,
Um,
for a second.
Second?
Second.
Second. It's a voice vote?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And Steve's motion carries. Thank you. Congratulations. And I should say also that I'm a member of the yacht club, and therefore I stand back on this item.
Got it.
Drew?
That's it. That concludes my report.
Okay. And so moving to item 15. And item 15 would be an ordinance granting development concept plan approval and preliminary zoning variations and modification for a planned mixed-use development at 120 Scranton. Is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. On October 25, 2024, the village received an application for zoning variations in a planned mixed-use development concept development plan for 120 East Scranton Avenue. The proposed 6 to 8 unit condo building will offer 3 to 4 units on both the first and second floors, and a partial third floor that provides access from the second floor units to rooftop decks. The plan provides underground parking, 5 public parking spaces to be built on Oak Avenue, and 2 more public parking spaces on Scranton Avenue once the existing driveway is removed. The current comprehensive plan notes that Block 3 should be treated as a residential transition between the CBD and the west side and scaled to the surrounding neighborhoods. While the proposed building complies with all setbacks and building coverage requirements, the applicants are requesting variations to the height requirement in section 10-6A-4B to exceed 1, the maximum height of 30 feet by approximately 5 feet, and 2, the maximum height of 2 stories in order to have a partial third floor. Additionally, the property falls just short of the PMD minimum lot area requirement, and this can be modified within the PMD process. On October 20, 2024, the PCZBA held a public hearing and voted unanimously to forward a favorable recommendation to the village board. On Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024, the applicant received positive feedback and constructive comments from the ABR regarding their building and landscaping plan review, an optional step under the village PMD development concept plan review process. Architect Pete Whitmer and builder Todd Altunian will be in attendance Monday night to provide the board with a presentation regarding their proposed development and answer any questions. Should the village board grant development concept plan approval, the applicant will immediately seek final plan approval. And I'm very excited to see the two of you in this village and in this room for this land to be developed. And I thank you for that.
Oh, thank you. So this is, we've been in front of the ZBA Planning Commission twice, I think once for a workshop and then once for a formal meeting, and then we were in front of the Architectural Review Board last week, and we got great criticism and had some modifications to our plan, which I think has moved it along. But the general concept has really been the same. This is actually the whole block from Oak to Evanston, Scranton across the barn. We're just talking about the piece that's in the CBD. This is the existing bank. Numerous things have been tried to put in there. Really nothing has really materialized for them. We had a proposal prior where we had the whole lot, and I think that we've come back thinking that really this scale and this size makes sense to do it on the CBD lots. This is the site plan, which is has the four corners, has porches on the four corners. The ramp to the garage underground parking is on the west side, and then there are also individual access to the first floor units off the sidewalk. For the three of the units, the fourth one would go through a center quarter for that. These are the floor plans, underground parking. We have, actually, a lot of the spaces are too deep, so you'd actually have 4 parking spaces, but really 2 accessible. There is a situation where people have a car they don't use very often, or have a guest, they can pull it up and then park behind it. So we have actually more than what we had stated in our plan. We show here a 4-unit layout. The idea or what the concept of what we do is that we provide basically what we call a white box, and then we custom design the interiors. So you have ultimate flexibility to design whatever that space is. We show 4 units on the first floor. We show 3 units on the second floor, and that's because if someone wants a larger unit, we could actually have 3 units on the first floor and 4 on the second. It really just depends on how the sales go and what size they are. Then on the roof, then there's access to the roof. That's in the penthouses from the units below, and then their outdoor space for the roof terraces above that. Yeah, these are the elevations. They have a few of the modifications that we talked about in the ARB, but basically it was in brick detailing and in some particulars of the elevations themselves. Stone and brick really to fit within the CBD as a building that is in the CBD. All 4 elevations are similar. Landscape's an important element to our projects. These sections show the cutoffs so that you can't see the penthouses from the street, and it shows how the ramp of the garage gets down in there. The next one. So these are some early renditions of the exterior. You can see how you can't see the penthouse form. We did sort of fade out the trees in front so you can see more of the building, but I think in the summertime you basically see trees, which are appropriate. But I think, historic looking buildings with the corners. The other thing that has changed from this rendering too is that we're going to have the porches open on the first floor so that they have a little bit more transparency and show a little more for that. So that's a sort of a high overview of the whole project. We are working with Mariani Landscape to not only the design, but the installation. We've used them in all of our projects. Really, the quality and the design is superior, and we've really, that is really an important element, that when we finish, it's pretty mature landscape. It's, things that, oh, it's a Mariani job, and that's important to our projects and to the buyers of the units themselves.
It's hard to see any third floor at all from this.
Yeah.
You can't.
Right.
Okay, so it's so far in the middle that,
That's the perspectives of those lines. You can see how the vision lines are. So it's step back. If someone were to, these are similar scale to the third building that we did a project in Lake Forest, where you can see typically some landscape that people will put on the edge of that. So you might see some greenery on the side, but you really can't see the centerpiece of it. And that's really the point of it. The other is that, the units themselves are greatly enhanced by additional outside area. So the first floor has porches and terraces on the grade, which is really an amenity that people really enjoy. And then the second floor units have pretty substantial outdoor space. And that's what, we find that people really are looking for, and not looking for a 5-foot porch on a condominium. They really want substantial outdoor space for that. So that's sort of a general overview of the entire project.
Do you mind going backwards or
Sure.
maybe forwards now? It's the initial sketch that was from the front, so you could see that one.
Yes.
So in this one, I see the penthouse. Can you just,
That's because this is a flat projected elevation, so it has no perspective to it. So that's why we do the perspective, so that you can't, because if you're down here and looking off, the front edge actually clips off your vision of the penthouses themselves. But in a true elevation where it is, everything in the depth of that is projected at the face. That's why you can see it here in these elevations, on these true elevations.
and you can imagine I'm asking because obviously this lot has been a controversial issue for the village for long before any of us were sitting on this panel. And I want to make sure that I have a really crisp, clear understanding. Now, what I'm hearing from community members who in the past opposed certain building projects is that they are approving of this project. But I want to understand just all of the ins and outs of the height. So it's sort of like not a full third floor, and that makes the difference as far as the plane of
So if you see the diagonal line, so if you look on the top section and you can see a little, I don't know, do you have a pointer?
be up there.
Sorry.
It's not there.
Is it?
I'll go up there.
You know what, I can go. I don't know if you can hear me. So, the reason we do these is just to see, so if this is a person standing on the sidewalk over across, so that this line comes here, your vision is cut off by the parapet of this, and so that you can't see it. And we did it from the second floor of the neighbors, so that you can see too that that's cut off from the second floor. And then these are the same things, that you can see that it really cuts it off. And again, from the second floor of the neighboring north, that it gets cut off. Then if you go to the perspectives,
Oops, sorry, too heavy.
there you go. So here, so we put these in a 3D realistic rendering, so it's a computer model of actually the way it is. So, you can see in real life that it's cut off. Now, typically you would see some of the landscape on the second floor, like this is we're showing, which would be that edge of that, for that. So it's clearly what we call a penthouse for that. There are no individual, like a third floor living unit up
Right.
there. And we were very sensitive to, we presented a proposal that was 3 stories prior.
Right.
And it was good because we got an understanding of what the neighbors' concerns and their thoughts and that. And I think too, it helped, we actually met with the neighbors and a few of them actually, we showed them our other project and how it works and how, so they got a true understanding of not only these kinds of drawings, but then the physical of what we build in Lake Forest.
Right.
Which, I think.
it went a long way. Yeah,
level-
I know that it did.
Yeah, and I think for us to be successful, we really need to make sure that And you know, these are substantial buildings that are built with high-quality materials that are, I mean, one here is the buildings in the CBD that are, you know, the ones that you want to keep, which are really the two-story masonry buildings within there.
Yeah. Thank you for that.
Where are you in your process of speccing these buildings? Have you had already interests from the community buying these units, or where are you?
We have not marketed them yet until we have really, this is, I think after this meeting tonight, if we have successful for that, then we're going to move forward in marketing. Our initial data in terms of the sales of what that is actually really high. We did some marketing studies when we did our first project here, and we proposed it. There were more searches for this kind of project or product from realtors than there in Lake Bluff than there were in Lake Forest. And it was interesting because it didn't exist. So there isn't a 3,000 square foot condominium in Lake Bluff. But realtors, not people going on Zillow, this will be somebody who's searching for a client that is going to plug that in. And so there was more of those searches. So, you know, and I think the other thing that gives us a comfort level is there's 7 or 8 of them. Mm-hmm. You know, we don't have 75 of them, right? You know, so I think, you know, and what we found in Lake Forest is there's a market for it. There's people there, but it's not huge, you know, it's not a massive amount. But so we feel we're very comfortable with the numbers that we're talking about. And also too, I think, you know, we'll learn something. I mean, we learned something in Lake Forest that bigger units really sold. You know, it was the smaller ones we had more issues with. So we'll find that is true in Lake Bluff too. But it's very similar. I mean, the site is terrific, and you know, the way Lake Bluff has evolved with its restaurants and its, you know, close to the train and all those things, walk to the lake. I mean, the amenities are so great. I mean, so we're really excited about moving forward and moving this project forward.
I'm actually very excited as well to see that bank building be replaced by something a little bit more proper to Lake Bluff. One of the remarks from ABR was also to break the lines of a facade and adding bricks, but that drawing doesn't show that, right?
I'm sorry, say that again.
The ABR feedback was to provide more elements on the facade.
Yeah, and we're working through that. So in these, if you go back to the elevations, we're working through that. So those perspectives are the same as what we showed at the ABR. So a few things that we're working here is like the arch over the garage door entrance, some additional brick detailing on the piece. That's kind of, you know, they're really good comments and sort of the refinement of the existing shape. And so, you know, it's really making it a little bit more interesting and on the detail work. And so that's what we're working through right now, and we'll have that back in front of them too. So it was a very constructive meeting, I felt, you know, with the group, and it really had some good feedback.
Cool. Thank you. Are there any more comments on the board?
Question is, when?
Well, we're hoping, I mean, we've been fortunate in terms of the public process has been pretty smooth. And
It's always smooth.
Yeah, it is. No, I mean, I think that one is that.
No signs in the street?
You know, we've had our times, so I can't be, you know, so, but no, it's been really good. And I think our communication, one is people know us, and so that, you know, they know what we're getting, and we're listening to the neighbors and all, and that's really how we started. And then, you know, working with Drew, it's been really straightforward and sort of how we've gone about it. So we're hoping that we'll get through everything, you know, February, March, something like that. Then we'll submit. We're working on the engineering right now. We're working on the structural and all the things that we need to get done for the building permit. So building permit, April, May, and really, you know, start construction with sales then June. And then it takes about a year to build the building itself, and then probably about a year, a little less, to build the interiors out. So the nice thing is that a couple things. One is that we use an electric crane to build the buildings, which is a really quiet process. So we don't have a lot of things running around. I mean, we do have things, but it's a quieter and quicker process We use a European crane that, to do that. So it's pretty quick it's kind of like building a house. I mean, it's almost that quick. So we're excited about, moving this forward as fast as we can.
Sounded like demolition late summer, fall next year?
Yeah, we're hoping, actually early summer.
No promises? Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right.
What's the price per square foot roughly? I know
It's
you're-
all in,
Yeah.
because we sell them as white box, and then people have options, so that can vary somewhat, but about $900 to $1,000 a square foot.
And how does that compare to your Lake Forest product?
Same price, pretty similar, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the cost of construction, the cost of the land, all that is very similar, and we feel that the site is just as good. It really is. I mean, we want to have these buildings in really walkable places
Yeah.
that you don't have to have a car.
I think you meant to say better.
Better. I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah. No, I mean, it is. I mean, I've lived here not as long as a lot of people, but I've lived here, for a while. And, the evolution of, when we looked at Block 1, we did a submission for Block 1 for multifamily housing in that block. And, so we had studied the downtown quite a bit at that point. Even though it's not big and all that. And we've also studied the commercial market, and, it's very different than Lake Forest or other things because it's scale and all that. But it's terrific. It's got the right ingredients in the soup. I mean, it's a stew that has the right, and we've got to be careful about that. You know what I mean? Not to have too much of one thing, that everybody's successful and all that. So, I mean, I think that I'm really happy about sort of, I call them like missing teeth, of sort of infill. This is just another tooth in the whole things. And I think there was a fair amount of concern about, okay, in Block 2, how does that get redeveloped and all that? They're different animals. They'll have commercial on the first floor with only one floor of residential, which makes it economically very different. So, I know there was a big concern was, what do we set a precedence here for 3-story there? And so there really isn't. I mean, I think that's going to be infill in a different way. And it'll be exciting to see how that all comes together.
I think the community is watching, and in this case, a lot of people are cheering for this project. So I'm very happy about that we get to fill that space.
The facade, the kind of aesthetic here, did you try and match it all to Block 1, or is it pretty standard to what you did in Lake Forest?
No, what we did is really study the details of all the sort of significant buildings in the CBD. Because this brick detailing was really sort of turn of the century kind of simplistic, with little arches over singles, windows and doubles that were different. And so we tried to not necessarily copy what was there, just try to understand it and build a building around that. So even though you'd say, oh yeah, they're the same brick as here, they're really different. And we try to make it so that its detailing was the thought process of how it fits in the context of that. And the building that got built in Block 1, it does a lot of that same sort of thing too. This is a little bit different though, and I think even though it's simplistic, I think if you look at the existing buildings in the CBD, they're really simplistic buildings, and so that beauty kind of becomes in that simplistic-ness of it. So as again, we're excited about, so this is, we showed in the ARB, just a study of all the entries and all different ways people do fenestrations in the openings and how that works, or how do the cornice works, how's the double hung windows work, and how does the top piece work? And
Can you go back there? What's the closest color match? Are you not even there yet?
we really want to have it a sort of, being a guy from the East Coast in Virginia, like a Virginia brick.
For sure.
Unfortunately, Virginia brick went out of business, but a hand molded darker red. I mean, I just think it's just a little bit more. Our renderings show it's too light. Our elevations are more. So we really want it to be a deeper red brick. But also, as you can kind of see down there, like a hand molded brick. So its face is not like a cut machine brick. So it has a more historic value to it or look to it. So that's really what we're after.
Cool.
It's nice. Mary and Taryn, any comment?
I'm just excited.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
It's a voice vote, first reading.
Yep, it's a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the motion carries.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Todd. And we are now resuming the order of the meeting, and that would be item 7A. That is our village finance report and the warrant report for November 26 to December 9, 2024. And specifically, could I please have a motion to approve the warrants report?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. And the warrants report is the request is for expenditure of village funds for payment of invoices in the amount of $291,235.90 for November 26 to December 9, 2024, for a total of $291,235.90. Are there any questions on this report? I've gone through the report today. I did not see anything that was out of line. I was pleased with it. No questions to Drew? It is a roll call. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Fisher,
Aye.
Trustee Rappin,
Aye.
Trustee Ryder,
Aye.
Trustee Cole.
Aye.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Next is item 9, and today we have Courtney Willets with us. Do you have a report for us today?
No report.
Thank you. Going forward with my report, item 10, and my report will be actually very simple and very fun. This past weekend was the 14th annual It's a Wonderful Life in Lake Bluff holiday celebration. The Christmas tree was celebrated, and the green and blue orbs were properly lit by elementary school students. It was a great party. It was fun. A lot of people. I would like to thank all people who sponsored and worked on this event, and that would be Lake Forest Bank and Trust, Lake Bluff, Lake Forest Chamber of Commerce, Annie Royster Lansky of Don McKenna Group. That was where the hot chocolate was coming from, and I keep saying thank you, Annie. We had the Lake Bluff History Museum. We had the Village of Lake Bluff. Thank you, Drew. We had the Lake Bluff Library, and we had and that would be it. And also, I want to send special thanks to George Russell. And I think if you remember last year, George was a little bit sad because he did a lot of work by himself. And so this year, again, he was at work, but he had helpers. And that would be Jeff McGuire, Pam Russell, Bill Remore, Ed Duffy, Nan Caldwell, Dave Anderson, Lindy Jensen, Paul Blahunka, and Doug Warren. And so I am grateful to them because I love those orbs on the green. And finally, we had a special thanks to elementary school music director Riley Warden for the singing and for the sound system. So thank you to all, and it was great. Any comments? It was great. It was fun. It was special.
Probably the most well-attended, and weather has a lot to do with it, because it was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It was fun. Next on our agenda is the acceptance of a correspondence. Please note that all correspondence was delivered to the Village Board of Trustees in the informational report on November 22nd and November 27, 2024. Is there a motion to accept the correspondence?
So moved.
Thank you. Any discussion? Clerk? Voice votes. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. If you look at our agenda, there is an item 12 that is a typo. So we will go right past over it.
And the reason why is that actually the public hearing was closed at the last meeting, and there was no reason to continue it. There was no comment, and certainly if there's somebody here that you would want to recognize, it doesn't appear that there's no one in our audience, so no one appears to be clamoring to continue the public hearing.
No clamoring. Next item, seriously, is the item 13, a second reading of an ordinance levying property taxes for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2024, and ending April 30, 2025, for the village of Lake Bluff, Lake County, Illinois. Is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Second, sorry, I heard you and I just.
Awesome. Pursuant to state law, do you want to take it? Do you want me to? Okay.
Just if there's a question.
All right. Pursuant to state law, on or before the last Tuesday in December, the village must file with the county clerk an ordinance requesting a property tax to be levied on all taxable property within the village. After review of levy estimates and financial projections at their October 28th meeting, the Finance Committee unanimously recommended approval of an aggregate property tax levy, I think I got the wrong page, of $5,242,951, which included the village share of a property tax levy of $4,047,441 and the library share of $1,195,510. On November 13, 2024, the Lake Bluff Public Library Board provided their request totaling $1,206,897 for their property tax levy. Their request included an additional $11,387, increasing the total aggregate property tax levy of $5,254,338. The $4,047,441 village portion of the tax levy is in compliance with the Property Tax Limitation Act and the Truth in Taxation Act. The village board approved first reading of the ordinance at its November 25th meeting. Bettina? Is there any more to add?
I just want to clarify that I think you should have received a amended cover page, but to clarify that the village's portion of the levy is in compliance with PTEL. And just wanted to clear that the library's portion of the levy is more than CPI. And so just want to make sure that's clear.
Right.
Comment on that, we had extensive discussions with the library board and then director regarding the need for the IGA, revised IGA. That'll be coming, or did it?
Should be January, first meeting in January.
Okay. All of a sudden, I thought maybe we already approved it. It will be coming in front of you to approve in January, and in those discussions, it became very clear that the library was under a great deal of stress, as many people in the community know. And so we were made aware that they may need to go above PTEL, and further, we clarified that our pledge to not exceed PTEL is specific to the village, does not include a pledge on behalf of the library. Further, in excess of PTEL that they're going is a total of $26,000. It's a relatively small sum on a relatively small budget. But Chair of the Finance Committee, I just wanted to raise that and let you know that as part of those discussions, the IGA, the library board has made clear that they're doing a comprehensive study of their model, of their hours, their staffing, their building, and will be coming before us next year to discuss those kinds of comprehensive issues. But in the meantime, we have the IGA ready to approve, I hope, and recognize that this modest increase in their taxes is necessary for them to stay afloat while they figure out how to move forward.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more comments on the board? No.
I'm sorry, it's a roll
It's a
call.
roll call, yep. Seeing no more comments, it is a roll call. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Rappin.
Aye.
Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
Trustee Cole.
Aye.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
The motion carries.
Thank you. So it was 13, so it's 14 now. So item 14, the next item is the second reading of an ordinance abating 2024 property taxes levied for general obligation debt series 2019 and 2019A bonds of the village of Lake Bluff, Lake County, Illinois. Is there a motion to approve this ordinance?
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. 14. The village currently has refunding bond series 2019 general obligations bonds outstanding. Pursuant to ordinance 2019-18, the county clerk is required to extend a property tax levy in an amount sufficient to pay interest and principal on the bonds. Unfortunately, the Waterworks Fund has adequate funds to transfer to the Waterworks Bond and Interest account for principal and interest payments on the 2019 general obligation bonds, which allows the village to abate the annual property tax levy. Because the bond ordinances directing extension of the annual property tax levy were filed with the county clerk, an ordinance is required to abate, not levy, the property tax for these bonds. The village board approved first reading of the ordinance at its November 25 meeting. Any comments, any question to Bettina or Drew? And that will be a roll call vote. Clerk, please call the vote, the roll.
Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
Trustee Cole.
Aye.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
Trustee Rappin.
Aye.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Next item is item 16, an ordinance amending the first year of a biennial budget of the village of Lake Bluff for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2024 and ending April 30, 2025. Is there a motion to approve the ordinance?
So moved?
Second.
Thank you. To align expenses with amounts noted in the second year of a multi-year budget, staff recommends, following past practice, to revise the first year of the fiscal year 2024-2025 biennial budget in the amount of $524,906 for revenues, expenditure rollovers, adjustment, and additions. This includes the following. Number one, fiscal year 2025, Village Board authorized purchase of 33 East North Avenue per resolution 2024-43. Number two, fiscal year 2025, recruitment for part-time police officers as established by ordinance 2024-06. Number three, fiscal year 2025 expenses for the burn building doors exceeded the anticipated budget. Number four, fiscal year 2025 Village Board authorized purchase of tree inventory and management professional services per resolution 2023. And fiscal year number five, fiscal year 25, correcting budget for part-time seasonal employees. The funds are available to effectuate these expense modifications from source other than the tax levy. Questions on the board, comments?
Just as anticipating there'll be another amendment that we'll present to you, and at least one other one before the end of the fiscal year. This is
Right.
commonly done. And as you can see, almost all of them you've seen before or heard of before.
Right.
And it's just a matter of just making sure the ledger matches the activity.
Okay.
Thank you.
And although it's referred to as an expense, the purchase of land is another way of investing, right?
It is an economic development activity of the village, yes.
And rather than hold that in 450,000 in cash, we're now holding it in land, is another way of looking at it,
Yes.
right?
It's an
Yeah,
asset.
and well, and that ultimately, the village could determine whether to facilitate development by taking a loss on the property if it wants to. That is an activity that's done by a number of municipalities. But historically, the village has accepted whatever then market price is when they've
Right.
done redevelopment, so.
Yeah, thank you.
So in effect.
With pretty healthy returns, to your point.
So in effect, that 524,000 is not a bad thing. No more, any more comments? And this is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you, and the motion carries. Thank you, Bettina. Thank you, Drew. Next item is item 17, a resolution authorizing the execution of a contract to purchase portable radios for the fire and police departments. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. The village fiscal year 2025-26 BNL budget calls for, number one, the replacement of 30 portable radios split over 2 years for the fire department, and two, the purchase of 3 new police radios to outfit new part-time patrol officers in the first year of a fiscal plan. As you may recall, the village board authorized the purchase of the initial 15 radios for the fire department back in July 2024, utilizing the state procurement process. Through a recently organized joint procurement with other public safety agencies in Lake County, pricing below the state bid can be secured, resulting in a saving of $5,918.85, but the village must act before the end of the calendar year. As previously reported, the new radios operate on our current radio frequencies in a new frequency range that our dispatch center and other departments are currently transitioning to, for increased interoperability. The attached resolution authorized the purchase of 15 Motorola APX 8000 all-band portable radio model 2.5 from Motorola Solutions for $143,893.65 and 3 Motorola APX 6000 single-band portable radio model 2.5 from Motorola Solutions for $17,489.94. If authorized, this purchase will be included in a future budget amendment to reflect the accelerated purchase of a fire department radios.
Yeah, Matt's here if there's any questions. Just as simple, we're gonna get a deal if we act soon.
Boon, okay, that's
That's
yeah.
essentially all it is.
It's a 4-person saving.
Yeah.
It's good. Questions? I do not see any questions.
No, it's
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you.
Okay, it is a roll call vote. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Cole.
aye.
Trustee Fisher.
Aye.
Trustee Rappin.
Aye.
Trustee Ryder.
Aye.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Next item is item 18, a resolution authorizing a 2-year contract extension with Clark Environmental Mosquito Management, Inc. for the Village Mosquito Control Program. Is there a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. With the dissolution of the Lake Bluff Mosquito Abatement District imminent in early 2022, the village issued an RFP for a complete mosquito control program that contemplated customer service, public education, surveillance, larva control, and adult mosquito control services. This process yielded 2 proposals, which were opened on March 24, 2022. After 1 reviewing the proposals, 2 consulting with former member of the Lake Bluff Mosquito Abatement District, the Village Sustainability and Community Enhancement Ad Hoc Committee, and the Executive Director of the North Shore Mosquito Abatement District, and 3 considering preliminary village board comments, staff recommended and the village board approved a contract with Clark Mosquito Management for 1, administration and surveillance for $4,200, 2, larva control for $24,898, and 3, adult control for $11,001, which was to be utilized only if and when determined in consultation with Clark. While Clark has never increased their bidding rate, the contract includes an annual price escalator of no less than 1% and no more than 3% of the amount payable for the previous year. As noted at the last village board meeting, unless the village exercises its option to extend the term of the agreement, Clark Services will end on April 30, 2025. Over the past 3 years, and as recently as the November 25th, 2024 village board meeting, village staff and Midwest Regional Manager George Baylis have provided periodic updates to the village board regarding Clark's mosquito control services. Given Clark's distinguished delivery of services over the primary contract period, village staff recommends the village extend the contract under the same terms. Any comments since we last spoke to George? Nope.
I'll just reiterate that I will always have concerns about treatment of nature, especially in our community that values its nature so highly. And I am grateful that we will continue to have these discussions and emphasize minimal invasive protocols. So though I will be voting yes tonight, and I did not vote yes last time around, I am pleased with what we've seen and how Clark has worked with us. So I hope that we continue to have, that future boards continue to take the most restrictive approach as possible.
Thank you. Any more comments? No, I do thank, I want also to thank Drew for working with us here on this board and working with Clark to actually determine when a spray is necessary and to be sensitive to the bugs and the plants and the people with asthma and the community before we pull the trigger to go and kill mosquitoes. So thank you, Drew, as well.
Of course.
Yep.
Clear direction's easy.
Yep. It is a roll call if there are no more comments. It is a roll call. Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Fisher?
Aye.
Trustee Rappin?
Aye.
Trustee Ryder?
Aye.
Trustee Cole?
Aye.
The motion carries.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is item 19, our trustees' report. Do any trustees wish to make a report tonight? Nope. All right, moving forward. I believe we do not have an executive session.
That is correct.
All right. And that would be, next is our adjournment. Could I please have a motion to adjourn tonight?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And we're adjourned. Thank you.
See you in January.
Yeah.